Right, hello, good evening, welcome once again. You've got me, TD, once again for the AT1 stream. Hope everyone is all well and good. Round 21 tonight, and it is at the wonderful Brazil. As a lot of you know, Deflated can wrap the title up today. Yeah. Let me just get the standings up quickly. Yeah. Deflated is 63 points ahead and needs to be 52 by the time we finish the feature race today. We are currently on 15. However, Jellyman and Top Gun are joining in quality.
The circuit underwent renovations during the late 60s with the hope that modern facilities would entice the FIA to host a Formula 1 GP. After hosting a non-championship GP in 72, the attendance of over 100,000 people, the FIA decided to host the championship.
And we have our first driver going out, and I think it is Jacob, yeah, with Deflated only having a 62-point lead, it is impossible for him to wrap it up in the sprint race. Would need a 79-point gap, and you only get 8 points for the sprint race. So that is impossible for Deflated to do. Now, and as starting off starts his lap, we will go on board with this lovely Ferrari, still with the Las Vegas. Get rid of the board so we can see the full on board, crossing the start finish line, then going into turn 1, hooking up the apex on the inside through turn 2, easy to invalidate, and then through turn 3, easy in these cars, open the DRS. Into turn 4 then, hook the inside, don't run wide on exit. Through turn 6, and into tricky turn 7. Turn 8 is very easy to lose traction on exit, but Jacob was well hooked up at a minute. And through turn 9, I think it is, and into turn, middle sector comes at you very quickly, so the corners are straight after each other. Jacob goes for the last proper corner. All these corners are flat out in these cars, opening the DRS. And to the line, Jacob goes and sets a benchmark of an 8.1. So not too bad for the first lap for Jacob. We have Novi going to the line, Novi making his AT1 debut. And this man, Spoonie, is making his full IRL debut. And he goes with an 8-3 to start off with. And we have an Aston of Flamingo coming. He is also making his AT1 debut. Camper going third fastest, ahead of Nervy. And now John, who was in contention for the winning no assist, coming to the line and goes fastest for the minute. Was in contention, but that late safety car ruined him. Evening Stealer. George Plaster making his return today as well in the Alpha Tauri. Bar will be next to the line. Nope, he won't as he dives into the pits. We'll go with Deflated then, the championship leader. No one else is on a lap. Lovely camera angle there for turn 3. 16.9 for the first sector, that's quite good. I did see Deflated go faster in practice for the first sector. I'm good, Steeler, how are you? Getting close to the grass and for Deflated into turn 9. Very easy to touch a lot of grass on the outside of the track here. Touch a bit of grass with ABS off and you're going and doing a 180 pivot and facing backwards. Deflated and cross the line just behind John for a minute. Greg comes to the line. The 6th fastest. Well, I hope you're alright at the minute, Steeler. I haven't seen anyone chat, but it is all good. I will chat with myself like I normally do. Who was that across the line? Aya going 9th fastest. Short quality today, as some of you, well, pretty much all of you will know. It's obviously a sprint race weekend. So that gives a lot of opportunity for these drivers to be able to score points and get further up the grid if their qualifying doesn't go well. Just running wide there on exit, but keeps it valid. Currently faster than Deflated in the first sector, and Josh is going with no ABS from now, so that was probably a bit of me there. I haven't seen anyone chat at the minute, but it's all good. Through a middle sector then, a decent middle sector for Josh. To the line he goes then. And goes just behind his teammate. Where will Smaller go? Smaller goes 9th as Venicus goes first. And Smaller goes for a bit of a spin into turn 1. Sun God's just having a little break, that's all. Nothing too serious. Yeah, Venicus going fastest. 10th and a bit, John. And I think Nova has invalidated. So I'll have a quick look at Jacob. Jacob, 2.5 tenths up. Currently we'll put him towards the top, to be fair. And he does go fastest. Impressive time by Jacob. I wouldn't say anyone would have predicted Jacob to be the fastest today. But that is impressive from the Ferrari man. God, Camper not improving on his lap time. So we'll have a look at Baba, who has invalidated. Spoonie is on a lap. So we'll see if his teammate is improving. Looks to be on a lap. Goes up to 12th at the minute. I think it's just a bit of everything at the minute in his life as well, Steely. I don't think it's just everything in here. Starting us onto the line, 5.5 seconds up, you'd imagine. Goes 9th. We'll have a look at George Plaster, man. The man who's returning today. It's been a good few races since George last race. His last race was in Canada, where he finished P3. Previous results for George was first, second, first, and 10th in Bahrain when he made his debut. So you obviously expect George to be up there. It looks like George has got a little bit of a Brazil helmet, which is good to see. Obviously doing in the middle sector lane, currently 2.5 tenths up, which will currently put him up to P3. P2, sorry. No, yeah, P3, I think. I can't do maths, I'm tired today. Yeah, it does go P3, just about behind the Venicus. Lost a bit of time in the last sector, so maybe a bit of a poor exit. John behind George, going up to P2. Cod Camper there just going 11th fastest as well. And Jellyman Tim has just joined. Steinos going for another lap. And Greg has backed off. So we'll have a look at Venicus as deflated. Goes just ahead of John. I have no idea, because I didn't even know there was some wet weather, to be honest with you. That's even if there is wet weather. See what Avenicus is doing then. Avenicus was very impressive in practice, and he's 2.5 tenths up at the minute, which will put him close to the time that I saw him do in the practice session. Currently on for a 0.6. Let's see what he does then. Coming up to the line, and he does go into the 0.6s then. 10th ahead of Jacob. What's Steinos doing? Steinos stays 9th. Have a look at Josh. He's a 10.5 up. Well, nearly 2 tenths, which would put him currently in just ahead of his teammate. Shock, both of them staying close together. Loses a bit of time in the last sector. Stays 5th. No, it goes ahead of George Plaster, I mean. We'll have a look at Nervi, currently 5 and a bit, temps up. Would put him up a few positions. And does go to 13th. And we'll be back in 2 seconds, guys.
And features the world's only traditional sumo gym outside of Japan. The Brazilian Grand Prix of 1994 was the last time any World Championship F1 race was won by over.
Hello, I am back. What is happening? We've got a bit of a lull because it's towards 2 minutes towards the end of the session. Spoonie has invalidated. Flamingo is on a back off lap. So we will see what other drivers are doing. I think Smaller Smiley is going to be the first to start a lap. It would be nice, wouldn't it, Steely, if we did have a little bit of moisture. Oh, bit of a spin there. He can back off though, and he does have the time to get another lap in. So we'll have a look at Baba. Slightly down on his first sector. A lot of traffic in this middle sector. And the traffic does need to be careful that we stay out of the way. And I'd say we're just about did in time. Baba improving by about a tenth. To the line it goes then. What will he do? Goes to P7. Who will be next to the line? I think it's John. Yeah, John. Nearly 2 tenths up. And goes into the 0.5s. Very impressive there by John as he just makes a mistake going into turn 1. Jacob, I think, backed off from his first lap, so maybe going for it again. Spoonie goes 3 tenths faster but can't go ahead of his teammate, his good friend George Plaster. Flamingo is improving, I think. Cod Camper finishes the session, doesn't improve. See what George Plaster's doing. It's slightly up and gained a bit more time in that last sector and goes 4th fastest. ISDs in 13th. Avenicus did invalidate, so that was it for Avenicus. So let's see what the Red Bulls are doing. Deflated goes to third fastest. What about Josh? Josh has backed off after probably a mistake. And Jacob isn't improving. Spoonie isn't improving. So unless Flamingo can pull out a worldie, which he isn't, that means the pole is going to John John with an impressive 0.5.
Having been scheduled as a season finale multiple times from 2004, a number of F1 drivers have been crowned world champions here in Brazil.
Well then, John John with the fastest time from Avenicus and DeflatedWee. Jacob with a very impressive P4, I would say. Haven't really seen him that far up this season. George passed it in 5th on his return. Josh in P6, which Deflated will like, obviously, because of the championship. Spoonie P7, Barra P8, Greg in P9, Science P10, Flamingo, Codcamper, Aya, Smaller, Nervit, and Jellyman, who didn't get a lap, rounding out the top, the 16. And we have got some wet weather. That is very, very interesting. It looks extremely wet, I would say. This looks like full wet to me. It looks like full wet. I'd like an all-wet race, to be honest, Lee Staley. Oh, we are wet to drive. Well, that makes it a bit spicy. How long do you reckon, Cod Camper? It would be more tactical if this happened in the feature race, but obviously it's sprint race, so you'd imagine a lot will go on to softs. Two bars of rain. Interesting. We are getting going soon, by the way, guys. I'd say maybe 10-15 minutes still. And I can hear the thing going. We are about to get going. And as the 5 lights do come on for the drivers, it is Inter's weather. And we are underway in Brazil, and it looks like Avenicus has got a bit of a worse start compared to John. Deflated trying to go around the outside of Avenicus into turn 1, and looks to have got the move done, which is good for Deflated. Josh and George having a little bit of a ding dong in the back, and Josh getting ahead at the minute, and it looks to be going for a charge on Jacob as well. Looks towards the inside of the Ferrari. Jacob running a little bit wide and avoiding contact with everyone, and Josh gets through up into P4, but George Plaster going for it back on Josh, and Josh has lost a place again. This is some good racing so far on the opening lap, and Jacob goes for a bit of a send there on Josh, and the positions that Josh made has gone completely backwards. And we do have some battles in the background. Gentleman Tim making a good start. Oh, and a bit of a contact there. Cod Camper going into the back of Smaller. And that has then sent Spoonie for Davidson all the way to the back, and that'll be unfortunate for him. And we'll need to show some good pace here to try and catch back up. Oh, and Avenicus, I think Avenicus has made a mistake. He has. He's gone for a spin towards one of the final corners. I'm not sure which corner it is. But that has put him down to 15th, and that's another costly error for Avenicus in sprint races. He did it in USA, I think it was, and he's done it again this week. But as we stand then, on to lap 2. Deflated and John already creating a 1.7 seconds to George Plaster. So getting a lot of breathing space for the time being. Wanting to get as far away as possible at the minute. We'll have a look at the position changes. Look at that start by Smiley. Up 6 positions, and it's closing in on Steinos. So great start by Ray Smaller. Avenicus and Spoonie unsurprisingly losing for most places with their spins. Oh, and Smaller nearly going for a spin there, and that could put him under a little bit of pressure from Greg. If Greg can get close enough to him. But it looks like Smaller has had a good enough exit to keep him in front at the minute. On to lap 3 then, we would have DRS this lap, but obviously it is wet. And it looks like Barra has put in Josh under a little bit of pressure. Josh obviously running for no ABS for the first time. Tricky to do in the wet as it is to do in the dry, so this is going to take a bit of adjusting for the Red Bull man to get used to. And it looks like Jacob does have some good pace there to show for his... Oh, and smaller Smiley there. Losing traction out of the final proper corner. And that isn't a reset to track, by the way, guys. That's the game resetting him because he's too far off the track and his tyres look a bit shot at the minute. And that's smaller down to P16. Probably isn't too happy with that. Speeding into the pit lane and does retire. And we have a close battle between Jacob and Josh. Just losing quite a bit of time with that compared to George Plaster. And that's put him under pressure from Jacob. But actually it's Jacob who's lost the time. And he has fallen behind the Red Bull. Spingy has gone for another spin. It looks like. So not the ideal debut for the Alpine man. Oh, and Jacob are making another mistake. And that gives the opportunity for Baba to get past. And could put him under pressure from Steinos now. Steinos then going to the outside. But Jacob looks like he's using a lot of ERS to try and stay in front. Goes down the inside of Baba. Bit of an audacious move considering the wet conditions. But looks to have both kept it clean. But Steinos is coming back at Jacob now. Going into turn 4. Let's see what the two of them can do. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Nothing too malicious between the two, but just some hard racing. Baba running a little bit wide coming out of turn 5. Let's see what they do going into turn 6. But Jacob's still sticking ahead of Steinos, and that's a good racing between the two. And Jacob just keeping his position for the time being. Avenicus has got in front of Flamingo to make his progress back up the grid. But very good racing between these two. And I think it has stopped raining, so you can imagine that the track is going to dry up soon and we could see some dry tyres. It's just when do these drivers think the dry tyres is the best to go on? Avenicus getting another position on Nervit into turn 1. Doesn't look like Nervit was defending too hard as Steinos and Avenicus go for it again. Steinos runs Jacob a little bit wide. But I'd say that looks like just some hard defence there. Some hard D. And Jacob, who did have a good qualifying, looks to be struggling a little bit more in these wet conditions. But I think he is going to be coming back at Steinos going into this lap. DeflatedWee sets the fastest lap time. Jacob looks closer to Steinos on this lap, but isn't close enough to go for the move into turn 4. And Steinos is also putting Baba under a lot of pressure here. Oh, and a little bit of slap there by Steinos. Doesn't want to be having too much of them, because it could put him under pressure even more. Oh, and down the inside there by Jacob. That is an impressive move. Still wheel to wheel with the Aston, but the Aston has the inside line going into turn 10, and that keeps him ahead for a minute. But we have a good battle between these two at the minute, providing us with some good action, which is what we like to see. Lap 8 then. The track still looks to be quite wet at the minute, so we shouldn't see some dry tyres at the minute. And Deflated and John getting a lot closer to each other on this lap. Deflated is only about a tenth and a half behind John, which I'm sure John won't be wanting, as he wouldn't want to lose out on pole position. Spoonie then setting the fastest lap time. I think showing that the track conditions are definitely drying. It's just going to be who's going to be the first to take the bullet. Could see someone further down taking the bullet first, going for an undercut if the track conditions are right. You'd imagine everyone would be onto softs, as Steinos is right behind Barbar now. And DRS is enabled, which normally means that it is dry tyres. So we could see some more overtakes now. And Camper has come on to the mediums to the end of the race. Camper could get a bit of an undercut on a couple of drivers, with it being possibly dry enough now for them tyres. Just needs to be careful on pit exit, as obviously there's been no line, no dry line. See what the leaders do then. Steinos does get past Barbar. And the leaders stay out for the minute, so they clearly don't think that it's wet enough yet. Deflated does have the DRS open, but George Plaster does come in. Josh stays out. See about this pack. Steinos and Jacob. Oh, and we just saw it there. Steinos speeding into the pit lane, and that won't be ideal for him with his battle with Barbar, Jellinan, Greg, and Jacob. Looking like softs for a lot of the drivers. And we'll have to see the gap from George to the top two. The gap between Deflated and George was about 3 seconds before he pit. And the top two do come into the pit then. Oh, very close there by Deflated to John. And we'll have a watch of George then to see what he's doing. He has set a fastest purple sector in the middle. Like I said, it was about 3 seconds to Deflated, and it looks like he's going to be an awful lot closer. As you can see on the track map, where is George compared to these two? He is a lot closer, and he's gained by about 2 seconds, even more. And he's well in for the fight for pole position for the feature race now. And Steinos with the undercut, and Josh has gone above him. Obviously, Steinos having that speeding in the pit lane penalty. Aya has retired in the pit lane. We do have a 3-car battle for a lead then now. Spoony setting the fastest lap. See what's going to happen there then. Deflated is too far from John to go for a move at the minute. George setting the fastest lap, unsurprisingly. Yellow flag sector 1, that is just Aya's AI. It'll be interesting to see who's running a bit more of a wet setup. Straight line speed could obviously be affected here. Avenica's going for another move. Oh, and a bit of contact there. Oh, and Avenica's is nearly in the wall. And that, as Deflated would say, is not ideal. Speaking of Deflated, we'll go back to this top 3. Deflated doesn't look to have the straight line speed at the minute. Only gaining about 3 tenths going down the straight compared to John, which isn't going to be enough. It needs to be quite close. Jellyman getting the move on Cod Camper. And Greg getting Jacob into turn 4. And Deflated is a lot closer on this lap. Looks like he could be going for the move into turn 1. Chooses to go to the outside, sets the fastest lap, and does get into first place at the minute. And Josh looks to be going for the move on Steinos now as well. So both Red Bulls making an attack this lap. But Steinos, I imagine, will be putting Josh under pressure here. Josh defending towards the inside. Both drivers have no ERS. Steinos going towards the outside and getting the move done. Jacob and Greg battling once again. And Jacob getting the better of Greg this time. After round 2 of battles. Now I imagine we've seen it quite a few times from this man this season when he has raced. But we'll possibly just be playing a smart game. Saving ERS. Saving his tyres. And we'll possibly just be going for the move when he feels it is right. John then going towards the inside of Deflated. Brakes a lot later. Gets the move into turn 1, but Deflated will be able to go for the move into turn 4. If he is close enough. He is close. John choosing not to defend. And Deflated gets back by. It's a problem with this track for a lot of the drivers. Getting it moving to turn 1 is good, but the DRS zone after puts you under a lot of pressure into turn 4, and you need to have an extremely good exit out of turn 1 and 2 to try and stay in front of the driver you have just overtaken. This could be round 3 then. John, as close as what it was last lap, goes back to the inside and gets the move done. But let's see what Deflated can do this time going into turn 4. Looks a little bit further away than what it was last time. And Josh getting a move done on Steinos. And he also looks a bit further away from Steinos, so he's maybe okay this time for moving to turn 4. Steinos was gaining but choose to stay behind for a minute. Obviously Steinos having that 5 seconds. He should try and pull a little bit more from Jacob, otherwise he will drop a couple of positions. Avenicus getting a 3-second time penalty won't affect him at the minute. Go back to the leaders then. Lap 17, this sprint race has pretty much flown by. Only 2 laps remaining, and if George is playing the waiting game, needs to start about thinking moves if he wants to try and get into P1. Slingo and Novi having a bit of a ding dong for the final couple of positions. The 2 no assist drivers. John Jones survives one of his points of defence. Deflated closing on into turn 4. Isn't close enough at the minute. Going through the final proper corner then. John looks to have got a decent exit. I don't think Deflated will be close enough to get the run towards the line with John. So it will be John who crosses the line in first to start on pole for the sprint race. The feature race. Deflated comes home in P2, George in P3. Steinos did get ahead of Josh but will lose out positions to Greg and Jacob on penalties. Gentleman coming on with a respectable P8 after starting last. Cocampo in P9, couple of incidents. And Barra in P10. Avenicus with what you would call probably the worst feature race of his life, coming on in P11. And these 2 drag race into the line. And Flamingo just about gets Novi by 4 thousandths of a second. Stupid also coming to the line to take for wooden spoons for the race. the American coming out with his American flag. You'll love to see it. So it is John who will start on pole position then for the feature race. Deflated in P2, George in P3, Josh in P4, Greg with a very, very good P5, Jacob in P6, Steinos P7, Jellyman in P8, Colcamper P9, Barra P10, Avenicus in P11, Flamingo in P12, Nova P13, Spoony in P14, and the two DNFs, Aya and Smaller Smiley, who I know is struggling with his back at the minute. How's everyone's day been? I don't really know what to talk about in the 5 minute break. Hopefully people don't forget the setups today. We are starting in 2 minutes. It is 32 now, so I imagine we will be getting going soon. And we've got a safety car on lap 1. I didn't even see the race start. I was too busy in the Discord. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Sorry, guys. But yeah, we do have a safety car already. If anyone does know why, that'd be wonderful. I think we may have something wrong. I'm not sure. So we have had a bug. So the lights went out straight away and the safety car came out. I think we're gonna do a restart. So I just don't want there to be any bugs. Sorry about the little talking, guys. I'm just trying to sort all this out for the drivers. Right, we are all sorted now. I apologise for the little chat. Just needed to get this sorted as quickly as possible. Hopefully we don't have the same glitch as last time. That wouldn't be the best. I look to have got the weather pretty decent, so that is good. Hopefully, I don't miss the start this time. We are getting going. I can hear the little timer in the background. And hopefully we don't have a safety car off the start this time. The 5 red lights are coming on. And we are finally underway in Brazil. And we don't look to have a safety car this time. John has stayed ahead of Deflated once again. Doesn't look to be too many positions changing at the minute. Jellyman and Concamper in towards the back, having a little bit of a tussle. And there's a big crash there. Spoony and Smaller having a massive crash there. And I think we've got a VSC. I'm not too sure. I think it's a VSC. No, it's a full safety car. And that is not the debut that Spoony wanted. And I don't think that is probably the week that Smaller wanted, to be honest. DNF in both sprint and feature in NA, and the same again in this week. In this race, I mean. We will have a quick look at the position changes, see what's changed. I am up 2. America's having another poor start, down 3 places. Barbell up 2, and Jacob and Greg having a bit of a swap. But not too many massive position changes. You imagine not a lot of people will come in here unless they do have damage. And we are caught up to the safety car, so you would imagine it shouldn't be out for too long anyway. I don't know whether it does come in after one lap. I think it might be in the next lap. Yeah, it is in the next lap. Oh, and my iPad has just gone flat, so I cannot see the chat. So if anyone does put anything, I apologise, I cannot see it at the minute. At least anyone who has gone for underfueling today will definitely have fuel that they need. It should be in this lap, I think. And it is in this lap. So it's now down to John, who is the pace setter, that will decide when he wants to bolt. And I think he might have already gone through, which he has. On to lap 4 then. First proper lap that we've got. Couple of position changes in the background. Obviously people wanting to get the moves done. Less laps now means less chances of overtakes. And it looks to be a little bit of a train, as Jacob looks to have had a very poor restart compared to the people in front of him. A key thing to see as well, Josh and George on the medium tyres. So they will be going for what you'd probably imagine is an undercut strategy. But also means that they are on the faster tyre now. So you wouldn't be surprised if we see some early moves. You have a yellow flag in the last sector, and that looks like Flamingo Eagle going for a spin on the last proper corner. And Codcamper's left the session, so hopefully he can get back in. Deflated has got the lead from John. I didn't even notice that had changed, but he has got the lead. And John needs to try and stay with Deflated, otherwise he could be under pressure from George on their mediums. And he does look a little bit more under pressure from George than what he is going to be attacking Deflated. He needs to stay within that 1 second. I think Deflated is pushing to try and get him out of it. But yeah, it could be under a bit of pressure here. We'll be in that 1 second gap, which is important for him. But I wouldn't say he's out of a window from George. But John looks to have some good straight line speed for the minute. DRS has just been enabled, I just remembered, 2 laps after the safety car. So this is the first lap where we'll get the DRS, as John is showing. And it does look to have some good straight line speed compared to Deflated. Maybe Deflated running more downforce, or Deflated just choosing to have to use less ARS. These top 4 all look to be very equal on pace on the minute. As I said, 3rd and 4th on the mediums, top 2 on the hards. But if the top two, you'd imagine, stay close to each other, it'll be hard for George and Josh to catch up with their medium tyres and get past. We'll see what John does then. Has the DRS, goes to the inside, and a pretty simple move for the American driver. Gets by, back into the lead, but Deflated is coming back at him and gets that move done. Nice and easy. And we saw this a few times in the sprint race of these two swapping around. And it's also meaning that George is right behind them with them battling. We have a little bit of a ding-dong at the back in the midfield. Steinos, Barra and Jellyman all coming towards. Steinos losing a bit of time to Greg and Jacob. So it'll be hard for him to catch up, obviously, not being in that DRS zone, unless he has significant pace over him. And we'll see what these two are doing as John does get back past Deflated. Barra then looking for the move up the inside of Steinos. Gets the move done. Could Steinos come back at Barra? We've seen it for quite a few drivers as Deflated is showing on John back into turn 4. Barra defended to the inside, Steinos going to the outside. So you saw these two battling in the sprint race. And Barra showing some good defence. But Steinos isn't giving this up into turn 6. Still going side by side. And it is hard to go around the outside into that corner. And Steinos stays ahead for the time being. And Jellyman is trying to stick his nose in somewhere to try and get past these two. Steinos defending up into the Alex R1 corner, I'm going to call it. Where Alex and Lewis had some famous contact. And you'd imagine Barra a lot closer to Steinos this time. Could possibly be able to go for the move a lot easier. John has got past Deflated again, and Barra going to the inside of Steinos once again. And we'll see if there's a repeat answer going into turn 4. Barra looks to be using some ERS and stays ahead of Steinos. He's to use this middle sector now to try and stay ahead. As Steinos has left, I'll send him an invite because he is on PC. There you go, mate. It's unfortunate for Steinos, as obviously it wasn't that good battle. So while Steinos has disconnected, we'll come back to the leaders. John, as I said, back ahead of Deflated. Deflated not going back for the move into turn 4 this time. So we'll see what he does going into turn 1 this time. He is close. He's close enough. And gets the move done into turn 1. Once again, the top two swapping positions. And you'd imagine John with how close he is and DRS will get the move into turn 4. And I think this is some tactical battling for these two. Just meaning that George and Josh can't get close enough with their fresh tyres. Just send Steinos another invite. I think his internet's died. Deflated then. Backing off into turn 1, choosing to stay behind. And staying behind into turn 4. George looks to be gaining on these two, but you'd imagine from a crossover between the mediums and the hards is going to be soon now. On top 12, there's some gaps starting to form. Gregor's lost out on the DRS on Jacob, and Jacob is doing well to only stay 2 seconds away from this top 4. So his pace in this feature race looks to be better than what it was in the sprint. Jelliline gets the move on Barber up into P7. Barber looks to not be giving it up. Oh, and that is a bit of a glitch. So we'll just have to try and see who has actually got the fastest lap at the end. Oh, and Avenicus going for another spin into turn 6. And this isn't going well for Avenicus. He showed good pace in the qualifying, but both races just aren't going his way at the minute. John staying ahead at the minute. Maybe change of positions between Jellyman and Barber. And there is. Jellyman choosing to defend, but the straight line speed is too much. But as we have seen so far today, Jellyman does have the opportunity to go for the move on Barber into turn 4. Avenicus speeds into the pit lane and retires. And Deflated. Oh, he was a lot closer with that. Decided to stay behind. But does go for the move into turn 4. Gets back ahead. And as it stands, as I said at the start of the stream, if Deflated finishes where he is, he will be the champion tonight. I think his gap is P66 points, I think it is. So even if Josh does finish below 4th place, then that means no matter if Deflated scores no points, he is champion. Jordan goes ahead then. Once again, not the first time we've seen it. And George is closer this time. But the DRS and slipstream looks to be too powerful for Deflated. And George can't even get anywhere near. Gentleman and Barbara switching positions once again. As Novi sets the fastest lap on them fresh medium tyres. And John looks to be starting to pull a little bit away from Deflated on this lap. So that means Deflated could be under pressure here from George. Oh, and Deflated. Bit of a snap there. That isn't going to be good if he wants to try and get the move on John soon. Oh, and Josh then into the pit lane, going for the undercut on George, and will most likely get the undercut on the top two as well. He's going for the soft tyres, so he thinks that rain that we all know is coming. It's coming relatively soon, so he's going on to the softs to try and go fast towards that rain. An interesting decision there by Josh. Be interesting to see what the rest of them do as Jellyman and Barra swap positions once again. Which isn't a shock. We've seen that maybe 5 times in the last 5 laps. If you're in DRS range, it is extremely hard to defend from the driver behind you. That's what makes this race so tough. See what happens here then. Deflated, staying behind John. George losing a little bit of time now, which could be the signs that his medium tyres are starting to wear. And Jacob also losing a bit of time now, but still respectably in that P4 after Josh's pit stop. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Josh. He's currently at 18.6 seconds off the lead. So need to make some quite significant gains in these next few laps if he is to get ahead. I imagine the top two are definitely waiting for the rain. I'm not sure what George is going to do. Don't know how long this rain is going to be. Still got the sun at the minute. As Josh has got 2 people in 1 lap. Got Cod Camper and he's got Ayahuasca. And Ayahuasca comes into the pits. And he sets the fastest lap, which is good to see that the fastest lap isn't glitched. Now this will be interesting to see what happens with Josh with these two. Jellyman and Barra have been scrapping this pretty much his whole race. And he can't be losing too much time behind these two if he wants to try and catch back up. And as you can see, he is right at the back of him. And he's gained a lot of time in this lap. Ayahuasca gets the first time penalty of the race, halfway through this race. And Josh is right at the back of Barra. And you'd imagine he will be going for the move. Goes to the inside of Barra. And will probably be wanting to move on Jellyman as well. 2 positions last lap and another 2 this lap for Josh. and he's up into P6. His next target is Greg, as Deflated and John switch around. So the next target for Josh, 5 seconds up the road, is Greg. And he's making them gains so far, but it's only gained about 3 seconds on, maybe 4 on the leaders. Still needs to gain maybe another 12 seconds if you think he's in contention. We'll head back to these top 3 then. No significant moves being occurred at this present day. Maybe some ERS saving, tyre saving, just maybe some fuel saving as well from these 2 behind, which they shouldn't have to after the early safety car, which is also probably helping George with tyre life. Early safety car means that he didn't need to push his tyres for as long. 2 laps less, maybe meaning his tyres don't feel as bad, won't feel amazing compared to the hards, but they won't feel as bad as what they would have done now if he was on tyres without a safety car. I couldn't think of my words then. No move by Deflated again. But look at that. I said 5 seconds up he needed to catch, and he has already got that in 2 laps. So he's now got Greg, pulled a 7-10 gap as well already through 2 corners. And his next opponent is Jacob up the road. It's currently 11 seconds now off the lead. So the time is coming towards him. Still needs to make some more. He needs to be gaining, you'd imagine, roughly 2 seconds a lap on the leaders. No, I wish I could see what the ERS levels were for these 3, but obviously I can't, because we don't have telemetry on for fairness. But it'd be interesting to see whether they are all saving, or whether they all are actually pushing to try and stay ahead of each other. Jellyman comes into the pits, puts on the soft tyres. So Jellyman thinking he's either going to go to the end, or this rain is coming extremely soon. Now you'd imagine if the rain came about 30 laps in, that John and Deflated would be able to go to that on them hard tyres, but I don't think George will be able to. And this is Deflated being extremely tactical, just staying right behind John. And Deflated also is going for a record today. It's a record for the most consecutive wins in a row, which could be broken today. Current record is 5. Deflated has got that at the minute. One more win for him, and it means that he gets the 6 in a row. In shock, it's in a Red Bull. It's as if he's doing a Max Verstappen. Now the gap from Josh to the leaders now is 8 seconds, so he is gaining significantly as Deflated finally goes for the move on John. And it'll be interesting to see what Deflated does this lap, whether he bolts for it or whether he keeps John behind. As Flamingo Eagle goes for a spin in sector 2. But yeah, Josh is starting to reel him in now, but still needs to try and catch a little bit more. You'd imagine George's tyres are pretty much going off by now. Hards will be getting towards that range as Chunk is extremely close to the back of Deflated. Hopefully there's no contact for them today, as that would ruin a good battle. And 3 attempts is to get them from Deflated to John. Let's see what happens here. John going to the inside. You getting the move. Oh, that looks a little bit of a tiny swipe over by John. I don't think Deflated would have taken too kindly to that, but look at what's happening now. Deflated and John are pulling away from George, who is struggling on their medium tyres. So this is where, and Deflated was a bit wide there. That isn't going to be helpful for him. John looking towards the outside, keeping behind for now. But yeah, as I was saying, George is losing time now. The medium tyres are significantly falling off. And you'd imagine he'd be waiting for the rain, but we don't know when it's going to come. Could come at any point now, but it could also come on lap 35, which would mean that George has been out on them tyres and probably get a puncture if it was stayed till 35. The rain also could not be heavy enough for the Inters, as we saw in USA. John getting back past into turn 1. And it is coming a little bit more cloudier, so I think the rain might be coming soon. Josh has not gained as much recently. He's on a 7.4 behind now, but it isn't enough as what he's gaining. He's only gained about a second in the last couple of laps. Yeah, the rain does look to be coming, as it is coming a lot more overcast, which I'm sure George will definitely be happy about, as his tyres, I imagine, looking at horrid state. Yeah, they don't look significantly nice compared to, say, the Deflated St John's. Oh, and the rain has started. The rain is here. As Deflated there, running extremely wide. And that could be the sign of the track already getting wet. And Deflated is out of the second mark. And this could give the opportunity to George Plaster if he can get close enough with the ERS and DRS. Deflated didn't get it, but George just isn't close enough to go for the move. As Josh has got back past Jacob and is now only 5 seconds off these top runners. And Greg comes into the pits. Let's see what Greg goes on to. At the minute, it looks a little bit early for the inter tyres. But he is going on to them. Interesting. We'll have to have a watch of Greg's times to see where he fenders and Jellymans. But yeah, as I say, at the minute it doesn't look wet enough. 4.9 is the gap for Greg to Nervy. So we'll keep having a watch. It is getting a little bit more wet, as I was saying. And they are coming into the pits and Deflated nearly goes into the back of John again. Josh is choosing to stay out. Interesting. This will be interesting to see what happens with Josh here. Whether he makes significant gains on his overcut or pitching that lap was the right one. It does obviously look a lot wetter. We are starting to see spray. And of personal opinion, I reckon it is a little bit wet. A little bit too wet. But obviously DRS hasn't been disabled yet. And that normally means that it's wet enough. Now look at the gap from Greg to Jacob. It's a big gap. It wasn't that big before, now it's a lot bigger. So this could be an interesting decision by Josh. DRS is now disabled. So it's definitely wet tyres now. And George has lost a lot of time coming into the pits as well. Oh, and Josh basically in the wall there, couldn't even stop the car. John and Deflated going side by side. And they do inherit the lead once again. And as I said, Deflated going for that 6 wins in a row. And Josh was in front of Jacob, but he's now back behind him with staying out 1 lap longer. Which, even if they Deflated DNS at the minute, Josh would be P4, so the championship would carry on at the minute. Jellyman has the fastest lap, which is, imagine, it will stay with him for the rest of the race. See what happens this lap then. Deflated stay towards the inside this time. And without the DRS, it's actually defending towards John this time. So this is starting to get to a feisty battle now. Going side by side into turn 2. Deflated stays ahead at the minute. And look at the time loss compared to George. Also at 7 tenths to George Plasterman. So they need to be careful that they don't lose too much time. Because otherwise that could mean George gets into a fight once again. George looks to be gaining significantly on these two. So George could be the one that's got the most confident in the wet. But it's whether he can just get close enough. Obviously, no DRS now means that it's a lot harder to overtake in the wet tyres, in the wet conditions. See what happens this time then. Deflated. Looks to be a good car length in front of John. John had a little look towards the inside but didn't go for the move. Chose sensibly to stay behind for the time being. Oh, John went a little bit wide there. Just losing his braking point. Which means that George is gaining back once again. John losing more time to Deflated, and if John wants to go for this win, he needs to catch back up to that time that he lost. And Deflated having snaps of oversteer like that will not help. And oh, Jellyman Tim making an awfully big mistake, losing part of his front wing, and that's put him out of points. He was running a great race as well. I think he was up in P8 with a fastest lap from the back of the grid. So that's unfortunate for Jellyman. And you'd imagine now he'd probably just stay out with that broken wing. Lap 33 then, 4 laps to go. And I don't want to predict who is going to win this race, to be honest with you. Jellyman speeding into the pit lane. Unfortunate for him. Five attempts to get between them on this lap. As Flamingo makes a little bit of a mistake. Into turn 1, maybe touching the grass on the outside. And it'll be interesting to see if John goes for a move at any point. Obviously, it has to be closer compared to no DRS, but it'll be interesting to see when he goes for the move. If you'd imagine Deflated will come just straight back at him. John looks to be closer this lap. He does look to be gaining on Deflated. Just isn't close enough to be able to go for the move. And George passed it. Also joining in. I imagine we're going to have a last lap battle. Here we go then, the last lap. John's going for the move. On the inside. Can't get the move, so into turn 2. This may be his last opportunity into turn 4. But isn't close enough. And that could be it for John. And that could be the title sealed for DeflatedWee. Deflated was very critical of himself last season about how he said he bottled the championship. Oh! And there's a bit of contact there between the two of them. And I don't think Deflated will be happy with that, as he does want the 6th win in a row. John gets up into the lead of the race. And he will be able to hold it going through into the line. John crosses the line to win the race. But it is DeflatedWee, the champion of AT1. George comes home in P3 once again. Jacob with a very good race in P4. Josh, a valiant effort this season, coming home in P5 but losing out ultimately to his teammate in the championship. Greg in P6, very good result. Bella P7. Cod Camper coming home in P8. Points once again for McLaren. Aya will be in P9. And Novit will get the last point on his AT1 debut. John prevailing then, getting the win. I think he got pole position, he got the sprint race win, and he also got the feature race win. And here are your standings. Don't think Deflated will be too happy with P2, as he wanted the 6 wins in a row, but I'm sure he is happy no matter what with winning the championship. 13 finishes then. Everyone in the top 10 being not lapped. But that was a good race, it was long. Can't remember a lot of it, to be honest with you. But I hope you all enjoyed it. I would say I enjoyed it myself. Nope. It says we're going into an event. I think that means for me to end this here. Hope you all enjoyed, and join us on what day? Sunday for Brazil, and then join us next week as well for the Las Vegas race.